Hello everyone, welcome back to yet another political episode. So, South Dakota came out and they vote on massive anti-woke ballot measures, starting with Amendment E, which of course is a great victory for, of course, the I would say I don't want to say the anti-gay establishment, but I would say the resistance, the anti-woke resistance. You're going to see here that obviously this amendment was going to, of course, push for the Constitution of South Dakota to stop using he or him, which, of course, are male pronouns, and start putting in general neutral pronouns. And we know what they're trying to do. They're trying to, of course, appeal to the feminist mob, right? Although men and women can obviously share the office of South Dakota. That's why we have, I would say, Minnehaha County is kind of interesting. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. But yeah, obviously, this is more support of the feminist groups that believe that, hey, there should be no reason why male pronouns are being used. But the deal is, males are generally holding the office of South Dakota. Meanwhile, they've held the office of a lot of different offices in the United States. They are generally the founders of American politics. That said, the Constitution has male pronouns. And a lot of the history defenders, as I like to call them, do not want to remove these male pronouns. Mostly, the conservatives have this woke. There's this woke initiative, of course, that would push to, of course, adapt more. I don't know, gender. What's a gender neutral pronoun? His or her. For instance, his or her office. I don't know how that would even work. But obviously, we don't have to worry about it because no prevailed with 57.4% of the popular vote. You'll see yes managed to win the support of 4 counties. You got the Native American counties, 59%. Dakota County, you'll notice it's 80%. That's because there are a lot of conservatives in Dakota County. A lot of them vote for Democrats and voted for Kamala Harris. These Native Americans, they're traditionalists. They believe in traditional customs. But a lot of them will vote on whatever the Democrats tell them to vote on. So a lot of them are NPCs. You also got Todd County, also in support of this ballot measure. Clay County, which holds a university, is in support of this ballot measure, not surprised. And you have Minnehaha, which has the city of Sioux Falls, a pretty populated city, one of the big cities. It's actually bigger than Watertown, Rapid City, and Aberdeen. I want to believe it's the biggest city in South Dakota. We can look that up. Let's see. Biggest city in South Dakota. It is the most populated city in the state of South Dakota. Not surprising, actually. Yeah, you'd think Rapid City or something like that, but no, it's actually that county in Minnehaha County. I want to believe Minnehaha is the most populated county. Let's see. South Dakota counties. Most populated. Minnehaha. Interesting. Yep, Minnehaha County. It makes sense why Minnehaha votes for this. Although it's a 50-50 split, just less than 100 more people voted in favor of this ballot measure. Although Minnehaha County itself is a very conservative county, this county, although it's 55-42%, I guess. Looking at the politics here, 53%, and it only increased. 2008, it voted for Obama, but interestingly enough. But yeah, that is, of course, maybe it could become a Democrat county in the future. I don't know, but it's mostly occupied by conservatives. The No initiative got supported from Harding County, mostly support from Harding, which, looking here, Harding, Hamlin, Harding, right up in the corner. 87% of the popular vote, 702 votes. The yes option got some mostly support from Agua Lakota, rural but Native American, very diverse, and although very custom and traditional culture fills there, the county is mostly very loyal to the Democrat Party. So 59% of the popular vote, that's a double-digit amount, over 15% of votes of the margin in that county. So let's go ahead. Obviously, a huge win as we continue to, of course, we denounce this pro-feminist idea that we should remove and adapt the remove history and historical historical language from the Constitution because it may be offensive. That's ridiculous. Grow up. We lived in a country, and then guess what they're going to do? They're going to try to remove our motto, "In God We Trust," because they may think it's not everyone believes in God, and I'll try you. I will convince you. There are already people trying to make that argument. So keep in mind, this is a great news that we have prevailed in this ballot measure that you would, out of anywhere, you would expect not to be in South Dakota. All right, Amendment F. Okay, impose work requirements for Medicaid. So you'll see here, this amendment would let the state set work requirements for any individual who qualifies for expanded Medicaid benefits. This has an interesting expand of results. You'll have different interesting results here. You'll see, trying to see, yeah, you'll see some liberal counties. Oh, is it mainly in liberal counties? So basically, this would let the state set work requirements for any individual who qualifies. So basically, I'm seeing mostly conservatives coming out against it. Otherwise, I see, yeah, Todd, the Native American counties are going against this. You got Dewey County voting at 55, double-digit amount. 60% in Pennington County. All right, so yes, got support of Union County. Union County is Union. Oh, right here, right in the corner. I'm not really sure what this ballot measure is even talking about. This amendment would let the state set work requirements. Okay. Work requirements would be adjusted by the state for those who are working or anyone who qualifies for Medicaid for expansion benefits. So, okay, it's basically the state gets to control. State gets to have to decide, of course, the amendment on that. And, of course, there are mixed results. No real party goes and has real support of this. Obviously, you'll see Biden County, Ziback County supports this county barely. The county that voted against this ballot measure is going to be Todd County this time, 62%, the second Native American county, 62% going against the ballot measure. And now, whether you believe that of course, the state should set the work requirements for any individual qualifying for Medicaid or Medicaid benefits, it's really up to you. I don't really have an opinion about it. Never really thought about it. So I'm not really sure how I would vote in this ballot measure. All right, this is one of my favorite. This is probably my favorite one. Right to abortion. And I say it's my favorite because we actually overperformed. And I don't think we were supposed to win this ballot measure. South Dakota is a very libertarian state, just like Kansas. Not so libertarian as you may think Nebraska. That's why this is such a big deal. Polls. Yes, you'll see we got 2 polls. You got 1 no here, and it was barely a no. Sure, these 2 polls were out of the margin of error, but these 2 polls from Mason-Dixon polling, it basically told us which way it was probably going. You even got a Republican supporting this ballot measure for, of course, endorsements for Amendment G or the yes option. You got even this representative, Casey Marshall, supporting it. No Democrats, but so I thought this would pass. And plus, there was of course, a ballot measure in South Dakota that saw an abortion measure passing. And not to mention, this ballot measure would ultimately overturn the abortion ban, which currently exists in South Dakota. Now, landslide of South Dakotans voted against this ballot measure. I told my grandmother, very pro-life grandmother, by the way, and she didn't seem so surprised because in her mind, South Dakota is a conservative state. I'm like, no, Grandma. You realize it's a libertarian state. And all these red states like Missouri, Kentucky, Montana, they all approved abortion measures because they all have libertarians. The Democrats have the grip when it comes to the abortion issue, and that's why we really need to turn this thing around. Stop saying abortion's murder. They know that, and that just turns them off. And that's going to make it, of course, even worse. They're going to, of course, double down on the abortion. So what we say is we go and tackle religious liberty. We say, hey, look, Christian man, Christian woman, Christian men and Christian women shouldn't have to pay for this because this morally goes against their belief of thou shalt not kill. We should issue the Supreme Court. There needs to be a movement. The March for Life is big. And obviously, the anti-abortion movement is big to a point. You got victories in South Dakota, Louisiana, Alabama, West Virginia, and of course, Nebraska, Florida. I'm thinking about all these abortion ballot measures, Tennessee, Arkansas. These very few victories for where a ballot measure succeeded. And of course, the few I've mentioned, we haven't done a video because they were like early 2000s. But boy, has things changed. And maybe, I don't think we'd win Tennessee this time. I think we won Tennessee in 2018 with the abortion thing. But I don't know. But obviously huge when it comes to this. You'll see Buffalo County, Native American county that votes for Democrats, voted no. It was a tight race, but over a point, the county voted no to this ballot measure, which is absolutely huge. And this is a Native American county, remember? When we were supposed to believe that Native Americans aren't supposed to go Democrat. This county voted for Kamala Harris by 62%, and they voted no to the abortion ballot measure, where they voted no to actually bringing back Roe v. Wade. You even see Oglala, Lakota County, along with Todd County, they're 20 points below to what typically they vote for Democrats. This obviously shows that there are a lot of pro-life Native Americans. That abortion, they don't stand for abortion. It goes against their customs and culture. The county that supported it the most, that went against the measure the most, is actually going to be Douglas County. Wherever Douglas County is on the map, right here, little thing right here. And the county that supported this measure is actually the Native American counties. It's actually the Native American county of Oglala, Lakota, formerly known as Shannon County. 67% of the popular vote, yes, to a point. The Democrats in Native Americans and the Democrats in Oglala, Lakota, and Todd counties, they still overwhelmingly, of course, support abortion. But there is a good proportion of Native Americans that won't double down on it, which is, of course, amazing. And, of course, you almost saw Dewey County, which is another Native American county, almost go for the said trying to think here. You almost go for the no option. Ziback County is pretty much on the spot and the same page on this. They're voting against this abortion ballot measure. Overall, most Native Americans in South Dakota support abortion by over double digits, but there is a great amount of more anti-abortion Native Americans than actually conservative Republican Native Americans. Keep in mind, something that you usually don't see much of. You usually see more Republicans than pro-life conservatives at a national level. But I find that very interesting. Amendment H, established top 2 primary elections. This amendment would enable voters to rank their preferences for candidates in an open primary with the top 2 vote gatherers advancing. This would apply to House, Senate, governor, state, and county races. So it's including county races. And I'm telling you, this is like ranked choice voting, but this is similar to what California does. California kind of uses this method. And you'll see, it didn't really go so well. You have Lakota County being the only county supporting the ballot measure. Todd County, 54%. You got 65.6% of South Dakotans voting against this ballot measure. It is not going well for them. Harding County in the corner, they voted no. Hardcore no. 86% against yes in the county, which voted 14%. Yes only got 50-50. It's actually a very tight race. 50-50, 50.4 for yes. No is 49.6 in Oglala, Lakota County. So this is actually a very interesting result here. Of course, you got some counties going in the 80s and the 70s, but I'm glad South Dakota has rejected this horrible system. I think parties deserve to have a fair primary where you have a Democrat versus Democrat and a Republican versus a Republican in their own separate elections. And so the party themselves, Democrats, can choose who they can nominate, and Republicans can choose whether to nominate. Squishing them all into one race can lead to a lot of malfunction. And you can get to a lot of problems like the 2018 Senate race where you had Feinstein going against a woke liberal Democrat in the general election. That can end up happening. Although I would say the exact opposite would happen in South Dakota. So I'm kind of confusing. I don't think these people know that they're actually hurting their own party. You're actually going to have Republican versus Republican in some races, but should we let them know that? I don't know. Okay, prohibit taxes on food and grocery. Okay, this one's interesting. All right, so this measure would get rid of taxes on any product sold for human consumption with the exemption of alcoholic beverages and prepared food. This is interesting because usually we have conservatives voting against the tax increase. So prohibit taxes on food and groceries. And it seems that progressives seem to be okay with tax decreases if it's needed for needed necessities like food, groceries, clothing. But I'm not sure why conservatives are not on board with this. You'll see a lot of dark red and conservative counties. Even Todd County is actually more lighter. But it seems Democrats are not too supportive of this either. Shannon County, 61%. That's obviously the one supporting yes. It's the only county supporting the yes option, left alone by its brother, Todd County, which usually has the same voting rank as Lakota. No. The no, of course, is Douglas County. Where Douglas, right here, 88%, 443 votes to 193 votes. So yes, it would, of course, and I don't like that they're not. Yeah, of course, you got a tax for alcoholic beverages and prepared food. But I think it's kind of interesting that they're kind of voting. I'm not sure how I would vote. I would have to get more learn more about it. Breaking news, South Dakota has rejected the legalization of marijuana. It was a tight race. I don't want to say a tight race. You'll see it's an underperformance of South Dakota usually performs. The Liberals kind of did somewhat kind of good. They won Minnehaha County, the most populated county, which kind of brings them to 44.5%. You'll even see Pennington County, which voted for Trump by over 70%. Yeah, Pennington County for Dusty Johnson. 62%. Yeah, it's now tight, like 51%. So, but in the end of the day, marijuana, so this measure would allow for the use and distribution and possession of up to 2 ounces of marijuana by people of 21 and over. So, this would be obviously recreational. And recreational marijuana is kind of controversial. In South Dakota, it looks like a double-digit, 11 percentage points of people came out and said, no, we do not want the legalization of recreational marijuana. And even when it comes to, let's just say, traditional liberals, I would say liberals gained a lot. Even some Republicans said, hey, you know what? The libertarians especially fueled this. They're like, hey, you know what? We should have the right to smoke and obtain the substance. It's obviously safe. We're not dying from it. But here's the thing. Once again, we need to become responsible with the substance. I honestly oppose the legalization of marijuana. I don't want it to be legal. It's unfortunately legal in my states, recreational and medical. But I'm glad to see my neighbor to the west is not doubling down on this marijuana stuff. So it's great to see this. Obviously, Shannon County is mostly in support of this ballot measure. 73% of the popular votes, while no is mainly getting fueled by Hacken County. And Hacken is right up here, just laid my cursor right on it, just below Ziback County, the Native American county to its north. But yes, you'll see maps not so different. You'll see Buffalo counties in support of this measure. You got Clayton County, and you, of course, an additional pickup, Minnehaha, 51%, not big. But yeah, I would say Sioux Falls is a very conservative city. But in these libertarian controversial issues, I mean, give them credit. They voted against the abortion measure. Give them credit for that. But I would say the race was tight there also. Our last measure of the night. Regulation for pipeline companies. So, of course, this referendum lets voters decide whether to uphold a pipeline bill that was passed by legislatures. The act would allow counties to set a surcharge on carbon dioxide pipelines or $1 per foot, which would be put toward tax relief for property owners in that county. It would also establish rules for pipelines, including minimum depth and leak liability. So then again, your tax relief for property owners in the county, you'd think that would be a good thing. Well, apparently, every county except for, Union County voted against it. No wins, 59.4%. And you can't necessarily say this ballot measure was supported by conservatives or liberals. It's kind of supported by both. And you'll see the county that gone against it is actually Tripp County. And Tripp County is a red county right here, Tripp County. It voted for Trump by over 81%. So obviously you can't necessarily say Republicans are voting against this. And to the fact that they're kind of going against the tax relief for these property owners in each county, it tells us something that they don't really like the idea of what's going on with the pipeline. Yeah, they do not like the surcharge on carbon dioxide pipelines, and that's kind of a red flag to them. While you got yes, which is Union County 69%. It's a landslide for Trump either way, 69%. I don't know how I would vote. for me, I guess I would need to know a little bit more on the consequences of voting yes. What am I voting yes for? I don't necessarily know the whole details of these ballot measures, so I don't necessarily know. If you are from South Dakota and you voted in this ballot measure, what did you vote for, and was it a good decision or was it a bad decision? Obviously, this channel doesn't really have a real position because, of course, there's no conservative side, there's no liberal side. It's just which one's which. But it seems that most South Dakotans, they're saying, despite that tax relief temptation. They're saying, no, no, no. And that's kind of a bold sign that there's something kind of big that there's not a lot of South Dakotans are liking. But what do you guys think in regards to our ballot measures tonight? Let me know down below. And as always, I will see you all in the next political episode.